All right, so today we're diving into some pretty cool tech, Starlink Maritime.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine this. You're out on the ocean, like miles from shore, and you can still do all the things you do online, like send emails or watch videos or even work remotely.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It sounds kind of like science fiction, right?
It really does.
But it's not. It's Starlink Maritime. And we're going to really break down how it all works. Our main source for this deep dive is this article from Concord Marine Electronics.
Okay.
They specialize in marine electronics, and they do a ton of Starlink installations.
Gotcha. So they definitely know what they're talking about.
Exactly. So let's see what we can learn from them.
Sounds good.
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is Starlink Maritime, and how is it different from, regular old satellite internet?
Well, the really interesting thing about Starlink Maritime is that it's not just a small improvement. It's like a total change in how we think about internet on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, the main option was VYAT.
Mm-hmm.
Very small aperture terminal. These systems use big satellites that are way out there in geostationary orbit, like 22,000 miles above Earth.
Wow, 22,000 miles. That's
Yeah, it's a long way.
It's a long way for a signal to go back and forth.
Exactly. And that distance causes all sorts of problems like slower speeds.
Oh, I bet.
Higher latency, like that annoying delay.
Yeah.
When you try to load a web page or do a video call.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like you click something and then you wait.
Exactly.
And wait.
And nothing happens.
So how does Starlink fix this?
Well, it's totally different. They don't use those far out geostationary satellites.
Okay.
They've launched thousands of smaller satellites.
Thousands.
Yeah, thousands into low Earth orbit, or LEO.
Okay.
And these satellites are way closer to Earth, only like 340 miles up.
Oh, wow. So closer satellites equal a faster, more reliable connection.
Exactly. And the article gives some pretty impressive numbers, like download speeds up to 220 metal apiece.
Wow.
Plus much lower latency.
So basically, it's like having home internet speeds on a boat.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that can be a game changer.
Absolutely. Especially if you're working remotely from your boat.
Yeah. Or even just trying to stay connected with family.
Oh, yeah, totally. Or imagine scientists out doing research.
Right. They could send data back in real time.
That's incredible.
Right.
And the article also mentions global coverage, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You could be in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and still have internet access.
Yeah. It opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. And it's not just speed and coverage. The article talks about how Starlink Maritime is built tough to survive out on the ocean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like the antenna, it's flat and super durable.
Yeah, it can handle strong winds and rough seas.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want some flimsy thing up there.
No way.
Especially compared to those old Viasat antennas.
Right, those big dish-shaped things.
Which were always having problems in bad weather.
Exactly. Starlink's antenna is a huge improvement.
Yeah, it seems like they've really put a lot of thought into make this practical for boaters. The article also mentions they have different service plans.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like they're trying to cater to different types of users.
Yeah, they have a range of plans to fit different needs and budgets.
Okay, cool.
Like you could get a basic plan just for checking email and browsing.
Right.
Or a high bandwidth plan if you're doing a lot of streaming or video calls.
So you don't need to be a millionaire to afford this.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
This flexibility makes it a lot more accessible.
That's great. It makes sense that they would offer options for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've talked about the speed and the coverage and the durability, but what about the installation?
Right, like how do you actually get this thing on your boat?
Exactly.
Well, the article stresses that professional installation is really important.
Okay.
They specifically recommend going with an authorized installer like Concord Marine Electronics.
I mean, they do have over 155 five-star Google reviews.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So they must be doing something right.
For sure. And this isn't really something you'd want to try yourself.
Oh, definitely not too much could go wrong.
Right, you're dealing with some pretty complex tech.
Yeah.
And the antenna needs to be positioned just right for the best signal.
That makes sense. So a professional can make sure everything is set up correctly.
Exactly. And they can optimize it for your specific boat.
And speaking of optimization, the article mentions this thing called the MDS blender.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
What's that all about?
Well, basically, it lets you combine different internet sources.
Okay.
So you could use Starlink, your cellular network, even shore-based Wi-Fi if you're close enough. So it's like having a super reliable internet connection.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So even if one source goes down, you'll still be online.
Exactly. You're maximizing your bandwidth and ensuring you're always connected.
Which would be especially important for people who rely on the internet for things like navigation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or communication, or even entertainment.
Yeah. I can see how that would be a game changer.
Imagine you're in the middle of an important video call.
Right.
And suddenly your internet drops. The MDS blender would just seamlessly switch you over to another source.
So no more dropped calls or interrupted meetings.
Exactly. It just keeps you online without any interruption.
That's awesome. But with all this talk about being constantly connected, it makes me think about cybersecurity.
Right. Is it safe to be that connected out on the open ocean?
Exactly. Is that something boaters should be worried about with Starlink Maritime?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's something the article does address.
Okay, good.
The good news is Starlink Maritime has some strong security measures built in.
Okay, that's reassuring.
They use encryption to protect your data.
Okay.
And they're always updating the system to address new threats.
That's good. But even with those measures, are there any cyber threats that are specific to being out at sea?
Well, yeah. There are a few things to keep in mind.
Yeah.
For example, pirates or other bad actors could target boats that have valuable cargo or important information.
Oh, wow.
There's also the risk of GPS spoofing.
What's that?
That's where attackers can mess with navigation systems.
Oh, no.
They can, send ships off course or even into dangerous waters.
That's scary. So it sounds like cybersecurity at sea is something boaters need to be aware of?
Definitely. As maritime connectivity gets more advanced,
Right.
the potential for attacks also grows.
Okay. So what can boaters do to protect themselves?
Well, first of all, strong passwords and multi-factor authentication are essential.
Okay.
That goes for all your devices.
Got it.
And it's super important to keep all your software and firmware up to date.
Right. So you have the latest security patches.
Exactly. And just like on land, be careful about suspicious emails and links.
Right. Avoid those phishing scams.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive and staying informed.
I think it's easy to get excited about new technology.
Yeah.
And forget about the security risks.
Definitely.
But cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely, whether you're at home or out on the ocean.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, but let's be real. For a lot of people, the main concern is going to be the price tag.
Right. How much does all this fancy tech actually cost?
Exactly. Is it something only rich people can afford?
Well, actually, the article makes it sound more reasonable than you might think.
Okay.
Airtime plans start at $250 a month.
Okay.
Which is actually pretty competitive with traditional VSAT. Especially when you consider the faster speeds and better reliability you get with Starlink.
That's true. $250 a month isn't cheap.
No.
But for a service that gives you constant high-speed internet, even in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
it might be worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially for people who really depend on connectivity.
Right. Like if you work remotely from your boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you just like knowing you can always get online no matter where you are.
Yeah. That peace of mind is probably worth a lot.
Definitely. And, of course, there's also the upfront cost of the equipment.
Right. The hardware.
Which can vary depending on what you need.
But the article does recommend contacting authorized installers
Oh, yeah, like Concord Marine Electronics.
to get a customized price quote.
Yeah, they can figure out what you need.
Right. And give you a price that fits your budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they can walk you through the whole installation process and provide support.
Sounds like a good starting point for anyone who's serious about getting Starlink Maritime.
Yeah, definitely. And it's important to remember that this technology is still evolving. So we're probably going to see even faster speeds and lower latency in the future
Oh, wow.
as Starlink launches more satellites and improves their service.
So what we're seeing now is really just the beginning.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It is, and maybe a little daunting
Yeah.
when you think about all the potential that this has to change things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like maritime commerce and scientific research and even just how we spend our leisure time.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It is. It really feels like we're on the edge of a new era for connectivity at sea.
I think so, too.
Just imagine the possibilities. Like scientists being able to send real-time data from the middle of the ocean,
Yeah.
or commercial ships communicating more efficiently. And of course, for us regular folks,
Yeah,
it could totally transform how we travel and experience the ocean.
totally. Like imagine being on a cruise and having high-speed internet the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could work remotely or stream movies or video chat with your family.
Exactly. Or even explore some far-off island.
Right, and still be connected to the world.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. It's like the internet is finally catching up with the vastness of the ocean.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And if you want to learn more about all this,
Yeah.
I definitely recommend checking out the Concord Marine Electronics website and blog.
Yeah, they have a ton of great information there.
They go into all the technical details, the different service plans, and the different ways people are using this technology.
Yeah, it's a great resource for anyone who wants to explore the possibilities.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Our deep dive into Starlink Maritime.
Yeah.
A technology that's not just pushing the limits of connectivity, but also making us rethink our relationship with the ocean.
I agree. It's a game changer.
It is. So next time you're dreaming about escaping to some remote island paradise, remember that staying connected might be easier than you think.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep exploring.
See ya.
So let's say someone's listening and thinking, all right, I need this. How do I get Starlink Maritime on my boat?
Well, the article really emphasizes that getting a pro to install it is key.
Yeah, makes sense.
For the best performance.
Yeah.
They specifically recommend authorized installers like Concord Marine Electronics.
Well, yeah, with over 155 five-star Google reviews.
Right.
They've got to be doing something right.
Exactly. And this isn't something you want to be messing around with yourself.
No way. Too much could go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is sophisticated hardware and software.
Yeah.
And that antenna needs to be perfectly positioned.
Right, to get the best signal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a professional will make sure it's all set up right.
And they can fine-tune it for your specific boat.
Exactly.
Speaking of fine-tuning, the article mentions something called the MDS blender.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
That's a cool piece of tech. It lets you combine multiple internet sources.
Like what?
Well, you could use Starlink in your cellular network.
Okay.
Even shore-based Wi-Fi if you're close enough.
So it's like having a backup internet.
It's even better than that.
Okay, how so?
Because it actually combines all the available sources
Oh, wow.
for maximum performance.
So you're always getting the best possible connection.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. Especially for boaters who rely on the internet for navigation.
Absolutely. Or for communication, or even just entertainment.
Right.
Imagine you're in the middle of a video call and suddenly your internet drops.
Oh, that's the worst.
The MDS blender would seamlessly switch you over to a different source.
So you wouldn't even miss a beat.
Nope. You just stay online without interruption.
That's awesome. But all this connectivity makes me think about cybersecurity.
Right. Is it safe to be so connected out at sea?
Exactly. With all this talk about being constantly online, should boaters be worried about security risks with Starlink Maritime?
Well, it's a good question, and thankfully the article does touch on that.
Good.
And the good news is Starlink Maritime has some robust security measures.
Okay, that's reassuring.
They use encryption to protect data transmission.
Okay,
And the system is regularly updated to address any emerging threats.
that's good to know. But are there any specific cyber threats that are unique to the marine environment?
Well, yeah, there are some things to consider.
Like what?
Well, pirates, for example, or other bad actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could target vessels that have valuable cargo or sensitive information.
Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that.
And then there's the risk of GPS spoofing.
GPS spoofing. What's that?
Well, that's where attackers can manipulate navigation systems.
Oh, no.
And potentially send ships off course.
Really?
Yeah, or even into dangerous waters.
That's pretty scary. So cybersecurity at sea is something that boaters really need to be aware of.
Absolutely. And as maritime connectivity becomes more sophisticated,
Yeah.
the potential attack surface grows.
Okay, so what can boaters do to protect themselves?
Well, first and foremost, strong passwords and multi-factor authentication are crucial
Okay.
for all connected devices.
Makes sense.
And keeping software and firmware up to date is super important.
Right, to patch those vulnerabilities.
Exactly. And just like you would on land, be wary of suspicious emails and links.
Right, those phishing scams.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive and staying informed.
Yeah, it's easy to get excited about new technology
It is.
and forget about the security risks.
Definitely.
But cybersecurity is really everyone's responsibility.
It is, whether you're at home or out on the open ocean.
True enough. Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, but now let's get down to brass tacks.
The price.
Yeah, for a lot of people, the biggest question is going to be, how much does this all cost?
Yeah, is this a toy for the rich and famous?
Right. Can regular people afford this technology?
Well, the article actually makes it sound more affordable than you might think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, airtime plans start at $250 a month,
Okay.
which is competitive with those traditional VSAT options, especially considering the higher speeds and reliability you get with Starlink.
That's a good point. $250 a month isn't exactly cheap.
No.
But for a service that gives you constant high-speed internet, even when you're in the middle of nowhere,
right,
it might be worth it.
Yeah, especially for people who rely heavily on being connected.
Yeah, like if you work remotely from your boat.
Exactly. Or if you just value having that peace of mind.
Right. Knowing you can always get online.
Exactly.
No matter where you are.
That peace of mind can be priceless.
It really can.
Yeah.
And of course, there's also the upfront cost of the hardware.
Right, the actual equipment.
Which I imagine can vary quite a bit.
It does, depending on your needs. But the article recommends contacting authorized installers.
Like Concord Marine Electronics.
Yeah, to get a tailored price quote.
Makes sense. So they can figure out what you need.
Exactly.
And make sure you get the right equipment and the right plan for your budget.
Exactly. And they can help guide you through the whole installation process.
So that's a good starting point for anyone who's seriously considering Starlink Maritime.
Definitely. And it's also worth remembering that this technology is still evolving. So we're likely to see even faster speeds and lower latency in the future.
That's amazing.
As Starlink expands their satellite constellation and refines their offerings.
So what we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff.
It really is. It's a little bit daunting when you think about how much this could change things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like maritime commerce,
right,
scientific research, and even just how we experience the ocean.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
It is. It feels like we're on the verge of a new era for connectivity at sea.
I think so, too.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
It really does feel like we're on the cusp of a new era for connectivity at sea.
Right.
Like, imagine the impact on scientific research.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
Imagine a team of marine biologists being able to send real-time data from their research vessel.
Right from the middle of the ocean?
Exactly. That could lead to so many amazing things, like faster discoveries,
That's right,
better collaboration between scientists, and just a deeper understanding of our oceans.
It's exciting to think about.
It really is. And it's not just research. Think about commercial shipping.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
More reliable communication could mean more efficient logistics,
right,
reduced fuel consumption, maybe even improved safety.
Yeah, because you could have real-time monitoring of ships and cargo.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about the impact on leisure travel.
Right, like cruises.
Yeah, high-speed internet could totally change the cruise industry.
Oh, yeah. Passengers could stay connected with work and family.
Right, or they could stream movies and shows the whole time.
Exactly. It could even open up new possibilities for remote tourism.
Like how so?
Well, people could explore some of the most incredible parts of the world.
Right, those far-off destinations.
Exactly. And they wouldn't have to sacrifice connectivity.
It's amazing to think about how this could change our whole relationship with the ocean.
I know, right? For centuries, it's been seen as this barrier.
Yeah, a place that separates us.
But with constant, reliable internet access.
It could become an extension of our digital lives.
Exactly. A place where we can work, learn, and connect.
Just as easily as we do on land.
It's really mind-blowing.
It is. So if you're interested in learning more about all this, the Concord Marine Electronics website and blog are great resources.
Oh, yeah. They have a ton of information.
They dive into the technical stuff, the different service plans, and all the amazing ways people are already using this technology.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up our depth dive into Starlink Maritime.
Yeah.
It's a technology that's not just pushing the limits of what's possible.
Right.
It's making us rethink our relationship with the ocean.
It's a game changer for sure.
It really is. So the next time you're dreaming about escaping to some remote island paradise, remember that staying connected might be easier than you think.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And until next time, keep exploring.